Most of the trucks on this list you already know, but you may have never looked at them this way before. Now we are revealing the 7 worst trucks in American history, and since you are subscribed to the channel, let's get started. We are talking about one of the most iconic trucks in America. With its long-nosed silhouette, chrome details, and that unmistakable sound, the Peterbilt 379 was not just a truck, it became a cultural symbol. Hollywood chose it. Drivers waited years to own one. Collectors turned it into a prized possession. But here's the real question. How did paccar manage this legend? The 379 was produced for 20 years, from 1987 to 2007. And at the end of those 20 years, paccar quietly pulled the plug on the icon. Why? The official answer was EPA 2007 emissions standards. Sounds reasonable, right? But pay attention to this detail. During that same period, models like the Kenworth T680 were completely redesigned, integrated with new emissions technology, and launched with modern cab platforms. Instead of investing that same level of engineering into the 379, paccar released the 389, essentially a cosmetic continuation model, not a technical evolution, more of a move to keep selling nostalgia. But the real disaster was hiding under the hood in the final years of the 379. Between 2002 and 2007, most 379s came equipped with the Caterpillar C15 acert engine. To meet emissions compliance, it used an EGR, exhaust gas recirculation system. And that's where one of the most controversial reliability chapters began. Cracked cylinder heads, turbo failures, cooling system issues. Drivers weren't just stranded, they were financially wrecked. A full C15 acert rebuild could run anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, and paccar knew about the engine. Kenworth used it too. Complaints piled up, forums exploded, the factory stayed quiet. And this is where the gap between Truck of the Year imagery and real life widens. From the outside, chrome shine, American freedom, the spirit of Smokey and the Bandit. From the inside, an engineering decision cornered by emissions pressure, unresolved engine problems, and a company calculating whether killing the model was cheaper than saving it. Paccar had to ask one question: save the legend or sell the next one? You already know the answer. The line stopped in 2007. The first time you saw it, you were impressed. That massive nose, that square cab, the way it seemed to sit heavy on the road. The GMC Astro 90 VIN dominated American highways in the 70s and 80s, but the moment you actually sat in the seat, everything changed. The cab-over design, placing the engine beneath the cab, looked brilliant on paper. Shorter overall length, more cargo capacity, smart engineering. But the Astro's real signature was its suspension. Drivers gave it a nickname, Kidney Buster, and it wasn't a joke. In a cab-over layout, the front axle sits directly under the driver. Every pothole, every railroad crossing, every uneven stretch of pavement, the vibration went straight into your spine. It didn't feel like sitting on a suspension seat. It felt like sitting on a plank bolted to the tire. Long-haul drivers didn't step out straight after thousands of miles. They stepped out bent. On cold mornings, Before we continue, I want to mention something important. I've built a private space called the Truck Legacy Club. It's not a public group, and it's not built for everyone. Inside, members get access to rare archive photos, old newspaper clippings, forgotten documents, and real stories that never make it to YouTube. Short, true incidents involving specific trucks and drivers, exclusive designs created based on member requests, and a quiet, respectful environment where serious enthusiasts exchange ideas and shape what gets documented next. If truck history is more than just content for you, and you want to be part of preserving it, you'll find the link below, or you can scan the code on the screen. Let's continue. Freightliner FLA. Yes, that boxy, squared-off fleet manager favorite is on this list. In the early 1970s, Freightliner introduced it as a modern and efficient cab design. Short nose, flat front, straight lines. The goal was clear: less space, more payload, lower cost. On paper, the perfect fleet truck. But that fleet truck label became embedded in its DNA like a curse. The first thing you notice stepping into: plastic. Everywhere. Driver's seat, dashboard, door panels. For a driver used to the metal and leather feel of a Peterbilt or Kenworth, This cab felt more like a waiting room in an accounting office. Freightliner made a deliberate choice. Lower production kits. Offer fleet operators a pricing advantage. Put driver comfort second. Now let's talk sound insulation. The short-nose design kept the engine close to the driver. That meant engine noise and heat poured straight into the cab. Hour after hour of vibration, that constant low-frequency hum. Drivers sleeping in this truck often woke up more exhausted than when they went to bed. Brake systems in the early years also drew serious complaints. On long downhill grades under load, reports of brake fade and overheating surfaced repeatedly in driver forums and union meetings. Freightliner made improvements, yes, but they were reactive, not proactive. Drivers experienced the problem first. Then the company responded. And that fleet truck stamp stuck. Owners loved the FLA because it was affordable, easy to maintain, and parts were everywhere. But for the man behind the wheel, it never became more than just a tool. So what do you think? This one's hard to say, but we're going to say it. Scania V8, the crown jewel of European highways. A religion among drivers, the star of showroom expos. When that 730 horsepower engine fires up, people stop, stare, pull out their phones. Millions of YouTube views, endless Instagram reels, Facebook groups full of startup videos. But let's talk numbers. The 730 horsepower DC16 V8 averages roughly 35 to 40 liters per 100 kilometers under load. Comparable six-cylinder competitors often run 28 to 32 liters under similar conditions. Doesn't sound like much, right? For a fleet truck running 150,000 kilometers a year, that difference turns into tens of thousands of euros annually. Fleet managers looking at the monthly fuel invoice don't hear the V8 rumble. They see the numbers, and the numbers aren't gentle with legends. Now let's talk parts cost. Scania's service network is strong, no argument there. But rebuilding a D16 V8 costs significantly more than comparable inline-six engines, turbo assemblies, injectors, cylinder heads. The complexity of a V8 configuration drives maintenance costs up. That's not opinion. That's reflected in cost analyses from major European fleet operators. Why do large fleets often choose the six-cylinder R series instead of the V8? Not for performance, for margins. Now let's be fair about comfort. The Scania R series cab quality is genuinely high. We'll give it that. But the most comfortable truck in the world narrative? That's part legend. DAFXF and Volvo FH routinely rank alongside, and sometimes ahead of, the R series in long-haul driver comfort surveys. Scania prioritizes power and character. Comfort is a strong feature, but not the primary mission. Is the Scania V8 a bad truck? No. Is it one of the most charismatic truck engines ever built? Without question. But charisma has a cost, and that cost gets paid every month. So what do you think? Is the V8 sound worth the fuel bill? The first time you saw it, you were impressed. Broad shoulders, clean lines, that Chevrolet badge giving off confidence. When the Kodiak entered the medium-duty segment in the late 1980s, the promise was clear. General Motors power in a practical work truck. Small construction firms, municipal fleets, regional delivery companies lined up. But the first warning signs usually showed up in year two. Remember that cold winter morning when you started the engine and heard that strange metallic ticking? Once, twice, then normal. Just cold weather, you told yourself. But a few months later, it came back, and this time it stayed. The 6.5-liter turbo diesel that GM put into the Kodiak became one of the most debated engineering decisions in its class. The engine was built on components not originally designed for heavy-duty applications. Cylinder head issues, water pump failures, fuel system problems, especially in cold climates. Kodiaks became familiar faces at service bays. Annual maintenance costs for Kodiak owners often ran noticeably higher than comparable Ford F-Series or Dodge work trucks, and small business owners felt that directly in their cash flow. The transmission wrote its own chapter too. Anyone running urban stop-and-go routes remembers the hesitant shifts, that slight delay. At first you called it getting used to it. Then the shop performed a software update. Then a part got replaced, and the same hesitation came back. Like the truck was arguing with you at every intersection. The cab didn't fully deliver either. It looked spacious from the outside, but after long days, the seat support, especially in the lower back, told a different story. At the end of a shift, the weight didn't settle in your legs. It settled in your spine. General Motors quietly discontinued the Kodiak series in 2009. No big speech, it just faded out. Hold on. While researching this list, digging through old driver forums, scanning archives, one name kept coming up. Every time we passed it. Every time we said, no, it wasn't that bad. But no matter how we looked at it, the GMC Brigadier belongs here. In the mid-1970s, General Motors entered the medium-heavy truck segment with serious ambition. The Brigadier was supposed to bridge GM's light truck expertise with the heavy truck world, construction sites, municipal fleets, regional hauling, bold design, strong brand power. Then engineering reality stepped in. The Brigadier suffered from an identity crisis. GM built it on a platform rooted in lighter-duty architecture while trying to inject heavy-duty DNA. The result? Not fully robust as a heavy truck, not agile enough as a medium-duty. It was stuck in between, serving neither world perfectly. Front axle capacity proved insufficient under real-world load conditions. On uneven job sites, early front suspension wear became common. Engine options, Detroit Diesel and Caterpillar, looked strong on paper, but chassis limitations prevented those engines from delivering full theoretical performance. In service networks, people started saying, strong GM engine, weak GM chassis. You had power, but couldn't always put it to the ground properly. Cab comfort, compared to competitors at the time, lagged behind. International Harvester and Ford were making clear strides in driver ergonomics. The Brigadier cab felt like the design department and engineering department hadn't fully spoken. Functional gauges, limited seat adjustments, adequate visibility, nothing more. In 1987, GM quietly pulled the Brigadier from production. No major announcement, it was simply replaced, and it drifted into the back pages of history. Before you leave, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the private club.